What's going on, family and friends? Welcome back to My Thoughts Uncut. I am your host, Terrence Manning. Today, we're going to talk about the judge who has ordered to put a stop on the deployment of National Guard to the Portland, Oregon area. Now, federal officers are saying that they're in desperate need for these National Guards to help, but yet again, judges think that they're higher and have more power than the actual president of the United States of America. Let's take a look.
In our top story, federal officers protecting the ICE building in Portland testified in court today that they're exhausted, overwhelmed, and need the help of the National Guard. But does the president have the authority to send in federalized troops? That's the question before a federal judge in Portland in a high-stakes trial. Kyle Leboshi is live outside the federal courthouse with a recap of day two. Kyle?
Tim, today we heard two very different perspectives. On one hand, Portland police that suggested they've got the situation under control outside the ICE facility and don't need the National Guard. On the other, federal officers who say they need assistance and they're not getting it. Day two of a
Portland police is not even helping out the ICE agents or federal agents. So of course they're going to say that, and they're being told to say this. So they're not being truthful. Of course, the federal agents and federal law enforcement officers that are there that are trying to do their best, they are overwhelmed. They need help. And Portland police have already been told not to really help. So it's disingenuous.
Federal trial over the deployment of National Guard troops to Portland included video of an October 18th protest outside the ICE facility. An assistant chief with Portland police testified when zooming in and slowing the video, it shows a federal officer firing a less than lethal round into the ground, ricocheting towards the ICE building. That triggered federal officers to deploy tear gas on a crowd of peaceful protesters. Judge Karen Immergut questioned the relevance of the video, telling lawyers from the city of Portland focus on what really matters. Specifically,
hey, her name is Karen. That's all you need to know. Her name is Karen. Come on now.
Earlier events leading up to President Trump's order to deploy the National Guard. Willamette University law professor Laura Appelman says the timeline is key to the case.
I think we're going to have a lot of testimony about what happened on the ground in front of Portland ICE in June, July, and August. Because one of the arguments that both sides have engaged in is what time period do we look at in determining whether we need the National Guard?
The state of Oregon, California, and city of Portland are suing the Trump administration and want a permanent injunction, arguing the president overstepped his authority by deploying National Guard troops. Trump administration lawyers called on a deputy regional director at the Federal Protective Service, the agency responsible for protecting the ICE building. He testified Portland police isn't providing necessary help because of immigration policy protection.
That's exactly right. They're not providing help because Portland's a sanctuary city, and their leaders are instructing them to not help. So of course you're going to have federal law enforcement officers in dire need of the National Guard to protect the building while they can actually go out and do their job. Because right now they're doing both. They're going out and getting illegal immigrants that's in Portland, and they're also protecting the building. If the National Guard can be deployed to do their job to protect the actual ICE facility, then ICE agents can solely focus on doing their job. And that's what Portland government, mayor, they don't want that to happen. So that's why they're trying to make it as hard as they can to stop Trump from employing National Guards to Portland. And then the judge is just, she must think that she's like the top dog in the executive branch. No, that's Trump. It's crazy how these judges are just signed with crime and illegal immigration. It's radical.
Or sanctuary laws. When asked by the federal lawyer, when PPB shows up at the ICE facility, do you expect them to help? He replied, not generally, no. He went on to describe how federal officers protecting the ICE office are exhausted, and out-of-town support from other federal law enforcement agencies can't be sustained. So how many people are actually protecting the ICE building here in Portland? We heard a number of different figures cited in court today, but one that stood out, 120 to 180 federal officers. That's over a 24-hour period from a variety of sub-agencies. Lawyers with the state of Oregon question the accuracy of that data. This trial is expected to wrap up tomorrow.
Yeah, they don't want help. Let's look at another source. They don't want to help these guys. They don't want them to do their jobs, which is it's just horrible that this is the state of our country where we are siding with, not we as in me or you who oppose of this, but we as in the country have people that are siding with the criminals and illegal immigration. This is outrageous.
Once again, the deployment of National Guard troops to Portland has been put on pause. That after a ruling late tonight from a U.S. District Court judge. This is the 11 o'clock news. I'm Ward Jollis. U.S. District Court Judge Karen Immergut issued a preliminary injunction tonight, halting the deployment of National Guard troops to Portland for at least another 5 days while she considers the legal merits of the case. Fox tells Julia Lopez is in studio tonight to break down the judge's ruling.
Even though a final decision won't be handed down until Friday, Judge Immergut's preliminary order sheds some light on what we might see come out of a permanent ruling. After 3 days of trial, she's ignoring the Trump administration, which told her not to issue another temporary order, instead indicating in this preliminary document, President Trump may be in violation of the Constitution. As National Guard troops remain federalized in the Portland area, Judge Karen Immergut has ordered they can't be deployed before Friday when she makes her final decision as to whether they can be here at all. Last week, Judge Immergut heard 3 days of testimony from Trump administration officials and Portland police officers, to name a few, and originally said she would issue a ruling by Sunday night.
Have you guys ever recalled when a judge is so against law enforcement? Ever? Now, I can understand if the judge sees that within the U.S. citizens, the police brutality, stuff like that. But this is just, they don't even want them to do their jobs. The judges that are usually fair judges are pro police officers. They just don't want them to step over the line. But this is not stepping over the line. You're not trying to have troops there to guard the ICE facility, which is technically federal building, federal area, so they can actually by law guard that area. Now, they're not weaponizing the National Guard to make arrests and anything like that. Their sole purpose is to provide safety and guard for the ICE facility. And yet again, you have judges who think that these illegal immigrants and Antifa actually outrule and are better than our law enforcement officers. You have Antifa there, and they're worried about ICE officers and ICE agents.
However, she's now saying she needs more time with this preliminary injunction in place until Friday, despite pushback from the Trump administration. But she did write in her preliminary justifications, Trump's deployments, quote, violated the 10th Amendment, saying, quote, facts on the ground show that the protests that began in the spring have not significantly interfered in federal officers' ability to
And another thing, look, what he's dressed as Snoopy at a protest. This is why this is so stupid. These people are dumb. He's dressed as Snoopy, and I don't even know what the other thing is. That a bumblebee? I don't even know what the hell that is. But if you're protesting and you're being serious about protesting, why are you dressed up as Snoopy? This is like a damn parade, like an anti-ICE parade. Like, this is dumb. So stupid.
Force immigration laws. To break that down, Judge Immergut says there have been sporadic instances of unlawful behavior at the ICE facility, but nothing that law enforcement hasn't been able to manage. She says despite broken card readers, there was no significant damage to the facility before Trump mobilized troops.
So what is her issue? Is she waiting for and is she waiting for something like
saying the decision may be in violation of the 10th Amendment, which establishes a division of power between federal and state governments? Immergut says the ICE protests do not meet a historic definition of a rebellion. Quote,
are you going to wait for it to escalate and then you're too late? People get hurt, ICE agents get hurt, the protesters get hurt because of what they're doing to the ICE agents. So you're waiting to see something crazy happen. You don't see it escalating. And that's stupid. You're supposed to be preventative, not reactive.
Involving a group of armed hostilities aimed at overtaking an instrumentality of government. Therefore, in this initial injunction, Immergut says, quote, the president did not likely have a colorable basis to federalize and deploy the National Guard to the Portland ICE facility. In other words, a sound legal basis. As for what's next in the Ninth Circuit appeals courts, a political science professor says we're likely to see another court date set eventually, because the administration's appeal is likely to involve the same substantive issues in both a preliminary and a permanent injunction.
Technically, the en banc hearing should be a moot issue because they were appealing a temporary restraining order that is no longer in effect. That's not what's going to happen.
We're also hearing from...
Are we really going to listen to a professor at Portland State University who is pretty sure super liberal, and pretty sure he is anti-ICE, anti-Trump? Come on.
State leaders, Attorney General Dan Rayfield saying in a statement, we're grateful the court is taking the time to get it right and will keep doing everything we can to protect Oregon's ability to govern itself and keep our communities safe. Governor Tina Kotek adds, this ruling is another affirmation of our democracy and the right to govern ourselves. Oregon stands united against this unwanted, unneeded, unconstitutional military intervention.
You see, that's what they want to do. They want chaos. They want crime in their cities and their states because they want crime pays. And that's the bottom line. When there's crime, people get paid. Judges get paid. Lawyers get paid. The officers are the ones that are put in harm's way, but they're just the sacrificial lambs, just like the citizens of Portland. ICE is trying to do their best to capture these illegal immigrants who are also found to be doing criminal activities while illegally in the United States of America. So the facts show that these liberal judges, these liberal politicians, these liberal governors, mayors, they're all just corrupt. They want crime to go to a point to where it is uncontrollable. That way they can have more people depend on them as a government. That's their plan. Let me know what you guys think. This is gonna go to the Supreme Court like all the other ones did, and it's gonna be appealed in favor of Trump. And then the National Guard's gonna get deployed. It's happened already twice. I don't know why they keep fighting this. They're just trying to prolong it, I guess. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell for all my other videos, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.